When Phyllis asked me to do the announcements today and to pay tribute and honor to my dear friend and our Rabbi Elie Spitz, my mind immediately raced back a couple of decades to the CBI Men's Club that a few of us started in the 1980s. Rabbi Spitz was a loyal participant in Men's Club activities, and I particularly recall our legendary ski trips. Rabbi joined us on several of those when we went for several days to Mammoth and to southern Utah. And some of the people who joined us back in those days when we all were vigorous Jean-Claude Killy type skiers might remember those days. We traveled to Mammoth, we traveled to southern Utah, we had Shabbat in the mountains, and Rabbi was a trooper. We had fun. A few particular moments. I remember Rabbi wearing his kippah under his ski hat and under his baseball hat when we went to the Stove restaurant for breakfast in Mammoth. We all stayed in the condominiums like a large family, kind of like being an adult Jewish sleepaway camp. And yes, we did occasionally act like teenagers, but we bonded and we solidified our commitment to ourselves, to each other, and to the congregation. And as Sheldon and I were talking about a couple of weeks ago, I also remember the night that we watched movies, which we did some evenings after perhaps playing poker to educate ourselves and to have a little fun. And I particularly remember the night we decided to watch the lighthearted comedy Mississippi Burning. Perhaps an appropriate vision for commemorating Juneteenth, but it was not exactly the lighthearted evening that we had all expected to achieve, but it helped us again understand what it means to be Jewish, and Rabbi, of course, helped us with that spirituality and remembering those dark and despicable days in the United States. The upshot of this memory, of course, is for us to recall how Rabbi has always comported himself, a wonderfully unique blend of being both down-to-earth, one of the guys, while maintaining his intellectual spiritualism that set an example for all of us. That was a long time ago, but that blend of humanism and spiritualism remains the image that I've had and share with so many of us and will always have of Rabbi Spitz. A second vignette that I think helps illustrate to all of us our remembrance of Rabbi Spitz. Not all of you were here at the time, of course, when this building did not exist. But some of you, not many, will recall an event that unfortunately occurred as we were starting construction. Ralph Stern and I had just completed a very vigorous period of negotiation with the Irvine Company to acquire this property, and we had retained a contractor to begin work, which they did, and had laid the foundation when it became known to us that the foundation was 6 feet outside of the building envelope and violated the code and the permits that we had received to build this building. We had already poured the foundation. Some of us were not happy. I had the distinct privilege of being the project manager for that first stage, drawing on my long-forgotten engineering past. But those of us that were involved in Project Genesis and in building this building were not pleased. And I do recall Rabbi calming us down, saying, not that it was meant to be, per se, but that it happened, and that we will move onward from here. And we did, and here we are, going through that first Rosh Hashanah that we had in this building, with our electrician, Mark Cross, and I installing the Ner Tamid that was not there, but at the back of that building, about 3 hours Erev Rosh Hashanah before we began services. And it actually turned on, which was a good thing. So I tell this story to blend with the ski trip story because it illustrates, I think, the two dimensions of Rabbi Spitz and how wonderful he has been as an individual for this congregation. He was calm. He reassured us. It will be all right. He asked us to think about, the fact that these things happen and benches move onward, and kept us all calm and kept me from killing the contractor, which would not have been a good event. But between seeing our rabbi as one of the guys and joining us on ski trips and seeing him as the influence that he is with his nature of calm and pastoral support to all of us, I think is a fitting tribute to who Rabbi Spitz is. This wonderfully unique combination of down-to-earth, someone you can talk to, someone who you can deal your problems, someone who can help you understand those things that you may be going through in life cycle, and remind you of the spirituality and of the ethics that are embedded in all of us, while we can go down Lift 4 in Mammoth, tripping as we go, falling, having a great time, and just being one of the guys. And so over these years, seeing these blended elements that Rabbi Spitz brought to all of us and to this congregation has been a mitzvah, has been the fact that I think has brought this congregation to where it is today, has brought the cohesiveness that we all feel as a congregation, as a community. And I know from Sharon and Anna and Hava and Miriam, who Rabbi Spitz was instrumental in both helping rear and counseling us to accept as teenage girls when it was not always easy to do so. We all of us thank you, Rabbi, for what you have brought to this congregation. We thank you for those qualities that you emulate, that you bring and represent to all of us. And I guess I could say I wish you were not departing next year, but life, as you would remind us, goes on. So thank you so much for all you have done for me, for Sharon, for our family, for all of the families, and for this congregation. And we wish you well and mazel tov in the next stage of your life.
As is my way, I'd just like to share a few words to thank Michael. I feel so fortunate with each of the sharings. There are no words, but just a couple of comments. And that is, on those ski trips with many remarkable men, on the men's club CBI trips, it was Michael who would be up to make breakfast for everybody every day, which not only demonstrated Mike's exceptional gifts in cooking, but in a spirit of giving. It was Michael who, when Linda and I arrived, and we both had places to go and only one car, said, "I have an extra car, my mother's car, let me give it to you." And that became, for those first years, my car. And in that regard, that quality of generosity is always how I know you, Michael, and know the congregation as well. I don't ski very well. I'm a boy who grew up in Phoenix. And the men were very patient with me doing the bunny slopes while they were doing the mountains. And I always felt welcomed, included, and embraced. And that's continued. When I came, the leaders were then, presidents were then in their 30s, early 40s. We've all seen our lives unfold. I already understood then that those people were going to go far. And in these years, I've taken such pride, Michael and Sharon, in your achievements as transportation planners, designing transportation systems around the world, including mass transit in Israel. Here, you don't have to be you can make a big impact even when you don't come from a big place. And Michael and Sharon, the impact you have made, both locally and globally, is part of my source of pride of belonging. I am honored to have you and Sharon as friends. When Linda and I were trying to emerge, one of the first places we went to dinner was at Michael and Sharon's, because it always and does feel like home. Thank you.